Alright, welcome back to my channel, to a new video. Just want to read the disclaimer before. So remember, this content is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell any asset and does not constitute financial, legal or tax advice. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Okay, we had another down day. And everybody's calling at this point, everybody's calling the top. So we got, I think was the third day of correction today. We did fall kind of hard at one point, but we managed to save this level. That was the low also after or during the Fed meeting. So, all right. Like I said, everybody's calling the top, including Ken Griffin, who was saying today there's obviously echoes of the dot-com bubble in this moment. He also said about the danger of picking up winners because the Trump administration is going after some stakes in Intel, and you also saw yesterday about the company LAC that went, I think it went up again today another 22%. So what he's saying is that the administration is kind of changing some rules of the game, of the free market game. So this is something very interesting, and I would say that in the long run he may be right, because maybe the administration is changing, and then you'll have other rules and other players that are favored by the administration that's leading US at that time. You also see the strategists, market participants calling extreme levels in the market today. So you get this sort of situation where everybody's calling the top. I think it's from my experience, even if I was not trading or investing during the dot-com 2000, I think from my experience, when everybody's calling top, it's not usually when you get the top, right? Because it's usually an experience when people are not really expecting it. So this is my personal opinion. It's not a recommendation. It's not. I'm not saying we cannot correct more than today, but it's just strange. Where if you remember, besides Ken Griffin, 2 weeks ago was Jamie Dimon calling a very high evaluation. You also had Chairman Powell talking about the same thing on equities last week. So just what I'm saying, from my experience, this is not how the top is formed. But we're going to the other trades that we're talking yesterday. Let's talk about Bitcoin a bit. We can clearly see another down date. It was quite aggressive at the point when we broke the 110,000 US dollars for one Bitcoin. We are very close on this level that I consider important at 107,000. So we're basically there. I would assume this level would not break easy and buyers will step in. This is just my personal opinion. And we also had a down day for euro, especially because we got some very good data, economic data, um, from GDP that grew way higher than expected. Also, the jobless claims were better, and also durable goods. So all this got some strength in the US dollar. But don't forget the whole picture. If we zoom out, you're still at a 15, I don't know, 13% gain for the euro against the dollar. It's actually one of the worst year in history for the US dollar in just like 9 months depreciation. What I would say on a technical level is that we are very close on this trend line. It actually goes to this support of 1.16 on euro versus the dollar. I think we are going to find buyers here because I think everybody is very sensitive about US jobs. We are talking about the things that sending back immigrants from US is doing to the labor market. So I would say this level right here will be very important. Then gold really didn't even move today, even with the strength in the dollar, and you can actually see the dollar strength across the board against the yen, against the Canadian dollar, but gold didn't even blink. This was the today market action, price action, and I would say about at this point came the economic data that was way better than expected, and then logically, even if people are assuming that good data would not let the Fed cut more rates, I would say that usually good data is going to help the market, and it did. It dropped again. Then on this double bottom, they just bought it back, and aftermarket is even a bit higher. Not much doing for Nvidia. It opened down on the fears of no rate cuts anymore, or just one, like Ken Griffin said. So not much action. Same for Microsoft that we talked yesterday. Meta was down almost 2%. I still think that's an important level because it also coincides with the last the high just before the drop of Trump tariffs. Google had a lower day, but it managed to close higher than the day. Apple is going really nice. It had a beautiful week, close to the all-time high. Tesla, same, a nice uptrend, getting closer to the all-time high. Amazon is the one that's lagging actually from Mac 7, and people are buying it because I think it's the only one left without touching almost to new highs. It's not my favorite, but I know people are going to try to front run the new all-time high. But for me, I think there's a difference between Amazon and the other, but I'm not gonna go there right now. One thing that's very important today was Oracle went down like more than 5%. And even with the new deal that Trump managed to do between Oracle, Silver Lake, MGX, the deal with TikTok, even after the market closed, is almost done. And I think Oracle is one of the beneficiaries, like really important. And even if all day CNBC reported on it, it was still lower. So I think, after earnings, very good earnings, very good earnings call, and the guidance and everything that's expecting, having this mini downtrend, I would say is quite difficult to understand. Of course, from a technical perspective, you want to close the gap or get closer to here, but like they really impressed on that earnings report, and the fact that we're like more than 10% lower from that day is quite interesting. What I think it's kind of expensive. It was an interview. Maybe I'll talk a little bit more tomorrow about it. But what I find very interesting, and maybe I'm not calling. I don't like the term bubbles. I don't call the market a bubble, because these are companies that make money, that make business. This is not thin air. But I would say that on the quantum side of computers, there's some very rich valuation for these companies. They went lower at the point, but kind of got some back in the end. But I'm going to say, they doubled the sales, right? But we're talking about 40 million US dollars compared to a valuation of 20 billion. So even if I'm a long-term investor and I love companies, I love technology, I love innovation, and I do think they are innovating. This price to sales ratio almost at 400 is amazing. So I would say there are parts of the market that I'm not calling it a bubble, but let's say very rich valuation. And of course, on the profit side, they are not making profits yet. They are issuing shares and raising more capital, doing some acquisitions. So on this part, I would say things are rich, but not overall, not all the market. I cannot consider Nvidia. I cannot consider it a very rich valuation, very high valuation, because the forward PE at this point for next year is 27. I mean, you cannot talk about being super overvalued. And I do think the earnings were absolutely amazing. Guidance also, the new investments. So I think there's a huge difference between the big part of the market, which Nvidia is about 8% of the S&P index, is doing just great. We could go down, of course, we can always go down, but I wouldn't call Nvidia in a bubble at this point. So this is just like I said, my personal opinion. I do not, this is not a recommendation to buy, or not to protect yourself in case of a downtrend, which can happen. And we've seen very big corrections just a few months ago, but I also watch the companies, what they're doing, and they're they're making money, you know, they're making money. This is not like a thing that's not producing. Some parts, maybe they will correct at one point. Maybe we go down to this level, who knows, right? But if it goes down, I'm going to buy some companies that I like. Anyway, I hope you enjoy today's video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and have a great evening.